expectation that I'll make some comments, to sign the bill, and then we will open up to Senator Peterson, and then you all can make some comments as well. I don't know whether there'll be questions, but we'll certainly entertain them. No, I'm on the sign here, but the list of co-authors is so long. I didn't want to miss somebody.
They're voting downstairs. So.
That's right. Thank you all for being here this afternoon. Today is an especially gratifying day for me because in just a few minutes I'm going to sign Senate Bill 432, authored by Senator Carter Peterson, but and this is notable, co-authored by Senators Appel and Barrow and Bishop and Boudreaux and Brown, and then we've got Senator Carter and Senator Clater, Senator Colomb, Senator Mills, and Senator Morrell. And then on the House side, we've got Representatives Bagneris, Gary Carter, Jimmy Harris, Stephanie Hilferty, Representative Leger and Moreno. And I read the names just because it's a remarkable feat to have that many members, especially of the New Orleans delegation, coming together to co-author this bill, because I served on the House Education Committee for 8 years. I know how contentious this issue is about the return of schools to the Orleans Parish School Board. I know that it was time that we established both a framework and a timeline within which to do that in a way that makes sense, that's best for the kids who are attending these schools and allows for as much stability and predictability as possible going forward, with some built-in safeguards so that we have a timeline to do this in 2 years, but it could take 3 if either the Orleans Parish School Board or the Board of Elementary Secondary Education decide that that is necessary. So because of all the hard work, I am very, very pleased to sign the bill. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and I have no idea whether this will be important to Senator Carter Peterson, but I'm going to give her the pen that I used to sign it with, and I'm going to ask her to come forward and make a statement, and then each of the 3 gentlemen with us will also make statements. Dr. Lewis from the OPSB, Patrick Dobart, who are you Dr. Dobart?
Not a doctor.
Okay. I didn't want to leave it out if you were. Patrick Dobart from the RSD. And also Andy Copeland, who is here today representing the mayor. And my final statement is I actually had meetings about this issue that actually predated the election. That's how big of an issue it is for me that we have this framework and this timeline going forward. And in those meetings, we had Senator Carter Peterson and Walt Leger and Helena Moreno and others, as well as Mayor Mitch Landrieu. So I'm very pleased that, Andy, you were able to join us today. And I think this is a great day for the state of Louisiana, and particularly for those individuals in New Orleans.
Thank you, Governor, and I want to thank all of my colleagues. First of all, some of my colleagues are downstairs still voting in the House, and of course the Senate is adjourned, or there's some committee meetings going on, so that's why many of them that the Governor mentioned are not here right now. But this bill reflects a coalition and a consensus of a majority of the Orleans delegation that had opinions and perspectives all along the spectrum of education reform and education initiatives over the last 11 years. And so I really feel like it's a proud moment that we were able to collaborate and to work and draft what I believe is not necessarily a perfect bill, but certainly one that has left us with a framework for which to implement a, hopefully as much as possible, seamless transition of 52 schools from the Recovery School District to the Orleans Parish School Board. To the folks out there listening, there are elections this fall in New Orleans. Those elections are really important, and it was really important, Governor, to have this done before those elections in the falls, because the people in New Orleans wanted these schools to go back to a democratic process. I certainly believe in that form of representation. I serve in a legislative and a democratic body as well, and I respect those members of the school board. I believe that what we have is the ability for the people in New Orleans to to weigh in two ways. The first way is those elections in the fall to make sure that the 7 people that are that have the custody of the thousands of children in the Orleans Parish School Board for the years to come are the people that we can trust to do, entrust to do what is necessary to educate our kids at the highest level. I was blessed with an education because my parents struggled to make ends meet. They put me through private school. Everybody doesn't have the ability to do that. Our public school system should be one which every citizen in this state who pays taxes should have the option of doing that. And I think that we're on our way there. We've made great strides in the last 11 years. I don't care who says otherwise. The numbers speak for themselves. The graduation rates are higher, and the achievement is evident by the numbers. Is it perfect? Of course it's not. But I believe that this framework will give us the ability to transition the schools. And the second point is, in the process, we were very cognizant and sensitive to the need for the community to be involved in the transition. Today, the RSD announced, and OPSB leadership announced the transition committee, which is a part of the bill that the governor just signed. That transition committee doesn't take away the authority that you might hear, take away the authority of the elected school board. In fact, it is a working group which has benchmarks and accountability for the next 2 to 3 years to make sure that they do what this legislature told them to do. And along the way, we are going to make sure that they get this right and hold them accountable. And finally, there are a group of people that will be a part of it that will include parents and community leaders, up to about 100 people, if I'm not mistaken, that will have specific roles in making sure that they're involved in the transition process. So I'm proud to stand here today, particularly proud of my colleagues in the diligence and commitment that they offered many nights after session for hours upon hours, making sure that we could get the best that we could out of this legislation. And with that, I want to congratulate the 2 superintendents who were there, who led us, and I expect that they will continue to lead us through this transition. So thank you to Mr. Henderson, and thank you to Mr. Dobard for their leadership. Thank you.
It's up to you.
Good afternoon, Patrick Dobard, Superintendent, Louisiana Recovery School District. It's an exciting day today to be able to have the governor. We thank you, Governor, for signing the bill, and we want to thank Senator Peterson again for her leadership, as well as the whole Orleans delegation. And I think the main thing to remember is that this particular piece of legislation showed a lot of inclusivity, particularly from our school leaders, those who are working every day with our children tirelessly in New Orleans to make certain they are afforded the best education possible. The bill shows and has a strong framework around accountability for our schools, autonomy for our schools, choice for our families, and also it upholds equity for all children. And as the Recovery School District's mission has been to ensure that all children are equitably served, particularly our most at-risk children, this bill preserves all of the tenets that have allowed our graduation rates to rise, that have allowed our black male cohort graduation rates to continue to be the highest in the nation for the 2nd year running, and also allows us to continue to create and build innovative schools in our city. And so we really thank everyone for partnering with us on this. The work is really just beginning. We shared this morning with folks that we have a lot of work to do over the next 2 years. And I really appreciate the acknowledgement that as we work through it, we wanted to be responsible with the timeline. So if 2 years is not quite enough time to be able to have the flexibility in the legislation to go as far as 3 years is extremely important. And so we went this morning, made certain to name the advisory committee because we're eager to get the work started. So even though it was a bit before the governor actually signed the bill, it shows the seriousness of what we're trying to do and our sense of urgency to continue to serve our citizens of New Orleans well. And so we're excited today about this transition, and we look forward to the work in the years ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. Henderson Lewis Jr., Orleans Parish School Board Superintendent. I'd like to take this opportunity to first of all thank our governor for his leadership. We appreciate your leadership on a daily basis here. And also, as we look at Senate Bill 432, I'd like to first of all thank Senator Peterson for your leadership, for bringing everyone together so that we are able to stand here today and celebrate the reunification of public education here in our city of New Orleans. We all know why the schools were taken away from the Orleans Parish School Board. And over the last several years, the Orleans Parish School Board has worked very, very hard to prove itself to its community. Our bond rating is the top notch in the state. We continue to move forward academically, and the list goes on and on. So we know that the time is right for the schools to return back to the Orleans Parish School Board. So collectively, along with my counterpart, over the next 2 years, we will work together to make sure that we can unify that school system as one. We have many, many great leaders, and we are able to be here today because of those leaders, because of our community coming together and saying that the time is right. So we look forward to this opportunity, once again, for all those schools to be under the direction of our local authority. And on behalf of the members of the Orleans Parish School Board that also participated in the press conference earlier today, we thank everyone involved for bringing those schools back under local control, just like every other school district here in the state of Louisiana. So again, Senator Peterson, we thank you. Governor, we thank you for your leadership and entire New Orleans delegation for allowing this day to be here. And again, this is a very historic moment for us, and we look forward to working together to make sure, as Senator Peterson said, as we have to live up to those benchmarks, that we not only live up to them, but we exceed what's expected. Because at the end of the day, all the work that we're doing is for the children of the city of New Orleans, and that is our #1 priority. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and on behalf of Mayor Mitch Landrieu, I'm pleased to be here. Thank you, Governor, for the invitation. I want to first echo what the superintendent just concluded with. The mayor has often said that the future of the city of New Orleans will not be determined in the boardrooms on Poydras, but in the classrooms in our local public schools. And so, again, Senator Peterson, thank you for your leadership on this bill. Governor, thank you for joining us again, as you indicated in your comments, prior even to the election, to bring folks together to work on the return of schools. I want to compliment the two superintendents. Mayor Landrieu asked them to swing for the fences with this piece of legislation. And New Orleans has been leading the way in education reform. New Orleans has been leading the way in raising student achievement. And now with this piece of legislation, I think we're again leading the way in terms of defining a framework for a system of schools to be governed with a strict framework that allows the kind of accountability and choice and flexibility that we've seen that has driven the success of our students in recent years. New Orleans is positioned to be the first urban district in America with no failing schools, and I think as well the first urban district in America where every student has a quality school to attend. And again, it's a large part due to the leadership of Senator Peterson, our local delegation, these two superintendents and their boards, and Governor, we thank you as well for pushing us forward to this very important point for the city of New Orleans and its future. And it will be a chance for New Orleans, Louisiana, New Orleans and the state of Louisiana to again lead the nation. Thank you.
With that, if there are any questions, we're happy to entertain them. Yes, sir.
When does it actually start?
When does it actually start?
July 2018. July 2018.
Well, it's a 2-year phase-in. July 15 is the date that the schools return, unless either, and they can do this independent of one another, either the Orleans Parish School Board or the Recovery School District operating through Bessie decides that a 3rd year is necessary.
And there's also, in schools that are also regularly eligible on the renewal cycle, so every year we have renewals for schools for their charter contract. So there are schools that are eligible right now that are considering in the next few weeks to finalize going back to OPSB this year. And then next year, we assume there will be, once we get assessment results back, schools that could be eligible. So you could have some schools that choose during the transition period, but ultimately, by the end of July, by July 1st, 2018, all of the infrastructure should be in place for all schools to return. If there are anything that's not functioning well that wouldn't make for a smooth transition, it could go as far back as July 1st, 2019.
But it's the schools themselves that make it?
Well, right now, yes, the charter boards for each school. So if schools are eligible, that charter board will take a vote and determine whether they would want OPSB to be their authorizer. That's correct.
But
By July 1st, 2018, Orleans Parish will become the authorizer for 52 schools.
Anything else? Thank you all very much.
Thank you.